Hi everyone, my name is Taryn with Quest and welcome to PeopleSoft Week, a part of our Quest Forum digital event. So today our presentation is Chatbots for PeopleSoft HCM. So a few housekeeping notes to go over before we get started. All attendee lines are in mute and will stay in mute throughout this session. If you do have any questions, please put those into the question drop-down box and we'll be answering those throughout today's session and at the end. And this session is being recorded and it will be uploaded to the Quest content library and the Quest go-to stage. So at this time, I'm going to hand it over to Robin, who will kick things off.
Thanks, Taryn. Welcome everybody. Good morning or good afternoon. As Taryn mentioned, this webinar is for chatbots for PeopleSoft HCM. So we're going to be focusing on how chatbots within PeopleSoft, specifically for HCM, but this kind of the framework and how the integration works with the Oracle Digital Assistant application is consistent for all of our PeopleSoft applications. But for those of you who are in the HCM space, we'll be showing you a few demos of how it works for HCM specific modules. So this is a big topic, not just for us, but for Oracle. And so I have a few other folks who are joining me today on this webinar. So first is Dave Bain. Dave Bain is the Senior Director of People Tools Strategy. And People Tools is a big part of how chatbots work in PeopleSoft. There's an integration layer that's available within People Tools. So Dave's going to talk to you about that, as well as the new way that our customers will be able to get these chatbots, which we also call skills, by the way. Also joining me is Samita Rege. Samita is a product manager for the PeopleSoft HCM application. She's sort of our point person for HCM chatbots and the development of those chatbots and making sure there's consistency across the board when we work on different chatbots in different application areas. And she will be the one doing a demo for all of you today, a little later. And then also joining us is Joe Huang. Joe is works in product management for the Oracle Digital Assistant application. So Oracle Digital Assistant, or what we refer to as ODA internally, is the application that makes the chatbots go. That's the application that figures out what the user is trying to chat about, and we use that technology to help map to a transaction or an action within PeopleSoft to figure out what that user is trying to get done in PeopleSoft. So, and Joe's going to talk to you a little bit about how ODA works, because in order to run chatbots for PeopleSoft, you not only have to understand what we're doing from an application perspective, you have to understand what ODA does. And then, of course, Dave will talk to you about the connection between the two, okay? So this will all be crystal clear for you as we go through the presentation. And here's the agenda we have for you all today. First, we'll talk just briefly about why PeopleSoft and Oracle in general is investing in chatbots. Then, as I mentioned, Samita will do a quick demo of the two chatbots that are already available to customers in HCM. Just so you, in case you haven't seen it before, you'll get a feel for how it works. And then we're going to talk to you about how we make it available through the integration with tools and also with Oracle Digital Assistant, right? And then I'll cover a little bit about what we have for our vision for the future for chatbots. Not only what areas in HCM we're going to be building out more chatbots for, but also how it may change to work together. Instead of them being individual chatbots, we're working on a vision to integrate all of those together so that you can ask the chatbot any question at any time, and it'll figure out what application you're talking about. And then we have some guidelines on, if this is of interest to you and your organization, how you can get started and learn more about what we're doing. Okay. So first, let's just kind of a quick overview of why chatbots we feel are important. I'm sure everybody on the call has worked or interacted with a chatbot at some point in their life, particularly if you're working with any consumer-oriented, service delivery-oriented application. Like, so for example, maybe you're using your travel website or you're using a retail online store. the chatbots are very pervasive. And they're very good. They're getting better and better. Some of them are rules-based. Some of them use some flavor of artificial intelligence to interact with you and to simulate what a conversation would be if you were talking to an agent of that organization. And the better that chatbot is behind the scenes, the more you think you're actually talking to a real person, because it's developed and designed to simulate a conversation. That's the beauty of the chatbot. That's why we like it as a user experience, as a way to interact with a system, because it just uses a regular conversation, kind of like if you're just chatting with somebody, to figure out what it is you want to do and what it is that you need to get done on that website or in that application. So there's plenty of examples of that in regular everyday life for all of us. The question is, how do we bring that chatbot user experience to the enterprise, right? So that users or employees, let's say, can use a chatbot and have a similar experience with your enterprise as they would if they were working with a consumer website that they use all the time, or an application that they use all the time to order stuff or to get things done. And what we see is there's plenty of opportunities in the HR space. We're already seeing a lot of chatbot activities around recruiting and candidate experience and the application experience for a job. That's probably the first place I started to see bots emerge in the HR space. But to be able to get a request done in HR, get a transaction completed, maybe looking up learning classes and enrolling in learning, figuring out which learning classes you want to take, and just overall employee engagement. We think those are great opportunities to leverage chatbot. And then when we do that, you get the benefits that you see on the left-hand side of the screen, which are the benefits that anybody that uses a chatbot, whether they're enterprise or consumer, are experiencing, right? Because the chatbot is always on. So you can always provide 24-hour service to those commonly asked questions that can easily be looked up in the system, or provide the information provided to the user. The communication is easy. It's just a chat conversation. You do get that instant response. It's a great way to engage with part of your employee population that maybe doesn't like going into PeopleSoft and navigating the menus to get to the information that they need. Maybe introducing a chatbot as a new user experience for them may get them excited and may be something that sticks with them and come back to use the system more and more, right? Because at the end of the day, the more we can get our employees to use self-service, the less as an HR group we need to take calls, which takes time away from our normal day. So PeopleSoft in particular has decided to make chatbots a big part of our roadmap and our future for our customers. We feel like it's going to help, particularly our admin staff, offload some of those common questions and maybe even offload some of the upfront intake of a case, let's say, right? And get that information into the system and then work on it without having to interface with the employee every single time. And we feel on the other side, it's an enhanced user experience because it's a quick way for the employees to get in and out and try to figure out the answers to their questions. So with that, what I'd like to do now is to first show you what that chatbot experience looks like, and then we'll talk about the mechanics about how it works on the back end, right? So first, let's do that. So Samita, I'm going to bring you in. Let's first review with everybody, what are the two chatbots that we already have available for PeopleSoft HCM customers?
Sure. Thanks, Robin. Hello, everyone. So we have been working on chatbots for quite some time, and since last year we have delivered two bots. The first one that we released was the absence assistant. I'm quickly going to go through what it does, but you'll see the live demo as well. So we released it in update image 31, HCM update image 31, and it is a web-based bot, and I'll talk about it a little bit of detail. What it essentially does is it's an absence assistant, serves your employees with features like requesting an absence, so they can apply for an absence, they can cancel their existing absence, they can check for their balances that are current or future dated, and they can check their absence requests based on various requirements like statuses, absence names, or even timeline. So this is in a nutshell, and we'll go through the demo. Let me quickly move on to the next one, the Employee Directory Assistant, which was released in update image 33, HCM update again. This is again also a web-based one. I'm stressing on the channel here or the medium of accessing this chatbot here because so far PeopleSoft has delivered chatbots through the medium of a web channel, web in the sense an application, and we'll see that. We are hosting all our chatbots within PeopleSoft so far, but we are going to explore more and more channels as we get there. So sorry for digressing there, but quickly, again, the next chatbot that we have was Employee Directory Assistant. And what this bot did was, this was kind of a quick inquiry chatbot. Compared to the Absence Assistant, we kind of explored a little bit of a search feature, a little bit of quick lookup and inquiry-based one where users could quickly just look up the bot, ask for some employee's email, some employee's phone number, contact details, business address, managers, direct reports, and so on. Very typical to what a company directory feature does, but much more than that, what you'll see, when I show you the demo. Okay, so having said that, I think the demo can speak much more for what I've said so far. Let me go there and show you the live demo.
Okay, so Taryn, can you give Sumita presentation rights?
Yes, it should. I think she already has the presentation rights right now because it's not listing her as an option.
Okay.
Yes. Oh,
yeah,
I'm
right
sorry.
now
Was my screen visible?
Yes. Yes,
Okay.
right now I do see your PowerPoint and it was just on the online demo.
Yes. Okay. Great. So here I am. So if we are able to see the screen, I can start the demo. Taryn, can you give me a quick check?
Yes, I can see your screen.
Thank you so much. All right. So the two chatbots that I talked about just now are both hosted in the PeopleSoft application. How they are accessed typically, currently, the user interface that we are providing is a tile-based approach. Of course, ODA, the technology platform that Robin referred to, also gives you a provision to have those typical chatbot widgets be placed on those right bottom corner of your screen. That is also possible. There were some strategic decisions that led us to do, right now, because we are one bot at a time. We are developing piece by piece. That's where at present we are going with the tile-based approach. Maybe in future, near future for that matter, we might shift on to the new paradigm. Of course, that doesn't prevent you as our customers to go ahead and use the same absence assistant as a widget. So we do give you the provisions to do that. There are certain setup pages that PeopleSoft provides you. You simply have to select the option you want to go ahead with and where you want to map it. And you can also use the widget on the right bottom corner that you typically see for any chatbots outside of PeopleSoft as well. So as I said, these are web-based chatbots accessed typically in PeopleSoft application using PeopleSoft authentication. All right, so I'm going to quickly go through the absence assistant one. So let's say I'm a user, I'm a first-time user. I really don't know what to do with the bot. So maybe I can just simply type, sorry. Right. So what happens is when you first read the bot, this is just one of the possibilities. You can type whatever, you can simply ask the question you want. But let's say I'm a first time user. I really don't know what Absence Assistant can do for me. I ask them, what can you do? It wishes you, it says, it kind of identifies by my login that I'm Edmund Donahue, who has logged into the system, and it helps me. It kind of conversationally provides me certain prompts to work with. It says, okay, I can help you with so and so. So for your first time users, it kind of helps when there is some guidance upfront for them to work with. All right. So let's say I need this guidance. I'm just going to go ahead with this. I say, okay, I want to see my current balances. Now it will take you step by step through this entire transaction until it is able to give you the required service you want. Let's say I say vacation. And then it just picks up the information out. This information that you see comes from PeopleSoft. So it is the rightful information that Edmund Donahue has within PeopleSoft. So it just quickly brings up the balance information. Now, because we know that there can be users who can be inexperienced, who need help at every stage during the chatbot, we kind of give them some prompting. But maybe at this point of time, I'm sure what to do. I've already seen what I want. I really don't want to go with the prompting. I can go ahead and type what I really want. So let me try that. I just want to say, okay, taking sick leave tomorrow. Okay, so now I mentioned that I want to sick leave tomorrow. Now the bot needs to make sure that it's a single day leave because I haven't really mentioned it clearly. So it has understood that I need a leave tomorrow, but it needs to confirm the end date. I say yes. It's a one-day leave. It asks me whether I need to provide any of these information because PeopleSoft holds this information as well. It solicits this information. I say no at this point. And then it says, okay, give me a reason if you want. I can say none. Let's say I give for sickness. It says, if you want to provide any comments, I say, no, not really, just a small leave. Then what it does, it has taken the information based on my first statement. It knows that it's a sick leave. I want it from June. So it has converted my tomorrow into the proper date. That's where ODA helps us. It tells me that, okay, you want it from June 2 to June 2. That's a one-day leave for a duration of so and so hours. Do you wish to proceed? I say yes, or I say no. Typically, I can go in which direction, and it will, depending if there is an approval associated, it will route. If there is no approval associated, it will say submitted successfully. So either which ways it will work for me. Okay, I hope this works well. This is a dev instance we are working on. So you get the gist on what it works. Oops. Okay. Pardon me. We have developers working on these instances. Sometimes it can be an issue. Let me just quickly open it up again.
Can you move to the employee directory assistant? We can show that that's the latest one. I'd like for people to see that.
Sure. All right, employee directory assistant, the new one. Here I'm again going to go as an experienced user and simply start asking what I really want. So I can simply ask about an employee in the organization by typing things like who is Kathy, show me Kathy, view Kathy, get me Kathy's details. Now in this case, incidentally, there is just one Kathy in the system. What we typically give is we show some information about Kathy because you're being very generic. We give them the job title, department, location, who the person reports to. So just give a primary indicator. You can directly connect with this person by selecting the number. So when I select this number, it will open up the soft calling feature. If I open this, select this link, it will take me to the default Outlook account, email account that I have. On my desktop, it's the Outlook account. If I want to view more contacts, some additional contact details, here it popped up. So because on my desktop, Cisco Jabber is a soft calling feature, it popped up. If I want to view more contacts, it can show me more. So it did bring up the cell information if I have inserted into the system for Kathy, and it is made available by my organization to be viewed by others. So depending on the configurations that we have within the system, the information will be displayed to the end user. So this was very, very generic. Let me try something else like, okay, which team does Rosanna manage? Okay, so now in this case, again, I've given a first name. So typically we support first name, last name, display name, preferred name. That's the support we give. You can use any part of the name. So since I've used the first name, there are 2 employees in the system that it found. So it is going to fetch those 2 employees and kind of show you some primary details and let you choose which of these do you really want. So I know my Rosanna is some accounting manager, and this, although it does give me a direct context, it understood that, okay, you want to see Rosanna's direct reports. However, I don't know which Rosanna you were referring to because you had not given me the complete details. So it just gives you a facility to select from the one you want. And you see that this user has 8 direct reports. It shows you 5 at a time. Now, this is just because this is a small form factor primary use case. So we don't want your screen to be loaded. We show 5 at a time. You can simply go through the details of each of them, primary details. And if you want to wish to see more details about any user, you can simply select view profile, which will pull in the profile details, general details about that person. Otherwise, I can select view more and I can see the next set. I see that I myself am at the direct report for Rosanna Channing, and I can simply just let's say I select a view profile and I still, same similarly to the previous case, I get some profile, some preliminary information about the user. Let me quickly type something more like, let's say I want something very, very specific now. Where does Kai work? So I know Kai is my peer. I just want to know where she works. So again, we know that there was one person in the system and we pull in the business address of that person. In every use case, we typically give the job title and the department just to make sure that you are looking at the right person. Many a times we identify a person by the department in which they work or the job title that they have. And then we pull only the information that you want. and then give additional context if you do wish to see some other contact. So in case this person didn't have business address, you could still select this view more contact, and that would pull up if any additional contact information is there in the system so that you can contact that person directly. All right, now let's see whether it supports who's my manager. Let me see. It also helps, gives me the self-service request. I asked for my manager and it says, okay, you report to, in this case, Edmund Donahue, who is the login user, reports to Rosanna Channing. And now in this case, when I say view profile, it actually brings in more of Rosanna's details because that's what I'm interested in. I asked for my manager details, or if I want to know what my manager is like, or any manager for that matter, it will pull up the corresponding manager's information for you. So that's the kind of typical simple one-step use cases that we are supporting with this employee directory assistant. If I can just give one example, maybe something like show on Alex Duncan. So this time I'm going to use a full name and it will support that as well. So here in this case, I asked for email. Again, some primary information, but we only give you the precise information that the user has asked for, unless it is very, very generic too, as I had shown in the very first case here, where I had not really specified what you really wanted. So this is what your employee directory assistant is going to give you. It gives you precise information, as Robin pointed out, a typical chatbot should do, precise information whenever needed, a direct contact to the employee. You don't really have to go through the faceted search and kind of try to identify which employee you're looking for. Simply typing the first name, second name, last name, preferred name, and you get your results upfront. So this is typically a very, very on-the-go chatbot for you for quick inquiries for any HR use. All right,
That's
I'm done with my
great.
demo.
Yeah,
Thank you.
that's fantastic. Thank you. Taryn, can you switch back to me? Thank you. All right. So we're really excited about those chatbots. As you could probably tell, we tried to start with chatbots that we thought had high volume and could potentially offload questions and inquiries that an HR team may get, especially around absence management. But we're focused more and more on self-service stuff, which we'll talk about when we get to the roadmap section. But what I want to focus on now and bring Dave into the conversation is to help you all understand what you saw there was the front end, right? That's what the user would see when they log into PeopleSoft. They would click on the tiles, one of the two tiles that Samita showed, and start interacting with the chatbot. But how does that all work? So basically, there's three pieces to all of this. The piece that you just saw is on the application side, and that's what's listed with this third bullet point item. That's when those chatbots were delivered on the application side for HCM. But there's a layer within tools, we call it the Chatbot Integration Framework, that allows the integration between ODA, which we're going to talk about a little bit later, and with the application, which you just saw. So what I'd like to do is bring Dave in. Dave, are you there?
I am. Hi, Robin.
All right. Hey, Dave. I have the slide teed up, and I'll let you take it over to talk about the integration framework.
Thanks. Yeah, and that was a great demo. I think it's real nice to see the functionality that's coming out now. In terms of how does this all work, right? Think about it as you've got PeopleSoft on one side, and you have your Oracle Digital Assistant on the other. That's in the back end. That's running as a PaaS application or a platform as a service. So it's in the cloud, and it's a subscribed to service. Your PeopleSoft application can be either running in the cloud on OCI or Oracle Cloud Infrastructure. It can be running hosted on premises. It doesn't matter as long as it has connectivity. But there's a few things that need to be figured out between PeopleSoft and ODI for all of this to work, right? The first thing is we saw in the demo you had a user interface, right? Well, where does that user interface come from? The user interface comes from, it's provided by ODA. There's a development kit in which we use to build that and put that into our application. Right. The second thing is, how are we communicating back and forth from PeopleSoft to ODA? and that is done by a channel. And how are we telling PeopleSoft about that channel, and how do we know about what's going on? So that's two. The third thing is you see there's a user that's using this, and it's coming back and it's talking back to PeopleSoft, and that means that there has to be some sort of authorization. So there is security. So there's authentication within PeopleSoft, and credential has to be known through ODA and back into the PeopleSoft application. And then finally, there has to be a way for ODA to get into PeopleSoft, and that's through the integration or through RESTful services. So all of this has to be done and has to be managed. Now, you can take a generic vanilla PeopleSoft system and you can do all of that, right? I mean, you can pretty much do anything you want to with PeopleSoft. So you can do that. But we believed, or we felt that chatbots are going to be so beneficial and such a big part of PeopleSoft in the future that instead of saying, hey, everybody go off and do it yourself, we wanted to put together a package that really made all of this easier for you. And that's what we call the Chatbot Integration Framework. And it does all those things that I just mentioned. It does the user interface in the inside the application. It manages the authorization in back behind the scenes, or the security. It provides a means for PeopleSoft or ODA to integrate with PeopleSoft. And one of the nicest things that it has is it has the ability to build services that are based on the RESTful interface, but services that are very easy to build and very metadata driven and very lightweight. So we all know, or some of us know, that integration broker can be a little bit heavyweight. It can be a little bit difficult to build and maintain the services. So we built something that we call the application integration framework. And that helps you to build these chatty interfaces, these chatty integrations much easier. So that's all available. As Robin said, this is available in PeopleTools. The minimum tools version is 85707. And of course, it's also available in PeopleTools 858. Okay, you want to go to the next slide?
Yeah, and I just add, Dave, that all of those components are important. One of the big things that customers ask about is like, how do I know that the employee, when they're interacting with a chatbot, that they're only accessing information that they're allowed to see in PeopleSoft?
Yeah, and that is part of the authorization, right? It's part of the authorization that comes along, and we have built a specific process for the authorization. First of all, in PeopleTools 858, you can use OAuth for that, so you can have a token generated and passed, but it's not required. We provide an internal way of doing the authorization as well. So that's delivered in 85707 and also available in 858. Now, a lot of these pieces are delivered in enterprise components, right, or across the applications. And this is the minimum image level that you need to have in order to run chatbots in each one of these pillars. And it's essentially we deliver there's setup pages, there's the whole application services framework. There's a number of these pieces that are delivered through images that need to be applied and brought up to speed before you use these chatbots. And this is the list of the minimum PUM images.
That's right. Mm-hmm. Thanks, Dave. So what I'd like to do now, Dave's going to come back on a little later to talk about how we get started and how things are evolving a little bit for how we get these skills to customers. What I'd like to do now is bring Joe into the conversation to talk to you about the Oracle Digital Assistant, that application, what it does, and how you would potentially interact with it if you were to deploy chatbots. Joe, are you there?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Okay, great. Go ahead and take it away.
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Robin, and glad to be here to talk about Oracle Digital Assistant. So what exactly is Oracle Digital Assistant? And you were seeing a demo of basically a chat bubble interacting with PeopleSoft. So at a high level, basically, Oracle Digital Assistant is a cloud service that sits in front of the PeopleSoft applications, sitting or other SaaS applications, and deliver data and operations and services to a variety of messaging channels such as Microsoft Teams, Slack, Facebook, WhatsApp, and SMS, or even voice assistant. And high level, you can essentially think of digital assistant takes the role of, taking what user types in or says, turn that into a API call that calls the backend services. And Dave just talked about all of the different API that are available. And then, of course, after the data is processed by the backend application, again, it goes through Oracle Digital Assistant that turns into a text or voice output back to the user. So high level, basically, that's what Oracle Digital Assistant does. Next slide, please. All right, and the way that digital assistant works is it is composed of multiple skills. So what exactly is a skill? Skill basically is what we used to call chatbot, and basically it's I would say a limited focused group of functionality, very modular, that exposes a specific aspect of a backend application's data. So for example, for HCM, you may have a skill for setting employee goals or accessing employee goals. You may have a skill for absence management, which is what you have just shown demonstrated. And there may be other skills from other backend applications. So each one of those skills are surfaced through what we call a skill store in the digital system platform. And then basically the process of, an end customer or end user using digital system and exposing to it is by basically going to the skill store, picking the skill you needed, and then compose your own digital assistant. Robin, can you click on the next animation? Yeah, thank you. So essentially, end user then through the single digital assistant will be able to access multiple skills and services through a single conversational interface. Next, please.
Before I move on to the next slide, Joe, so what we're really saying here is that ODA is not just used for PeopleSoft, and it's not just used for HCM. You guys, for that ODA application, you use it for multiple industries and multiple applications, right?
Exactly, and multiple pillars. So that's the advantage of for digital assistant is that through a single conversational user interface, you can access HCM functionality from PeopleSoft, ERP functionality for PeopleSoft, or maybe you may have some third-party applications or even other cloud applications that can all be surfaced through a single conversational user interface.
Yep.
Right. All right, and if we dig the digital assistant a little bit deeper, how does it actually work in processing these textual conversational input into an API call? It's done through those four key components. The first component in a digital assistant is what we call channel configurator, that basically abstracts the differences between different messaging channels and allow the messaging channel to connect to the digital system platform. So what do you mean by messaging channels? What we mean by these are basically different messaging applications, again, such as Slack and Microsoft Teams and WhatsApp, WeChat, Facebook, or even SMS applications. Now, these obviously have different capability of surfacing the conversational user interface and may be aided with some forms or a more richer user interface. What Channel Configurator does is it abstract all of these different interfaces into something that digital assistant can process. So, and so essentially allows a single digital assistant to connect to multiple clients. So essentially adding, let's say you developed a digital assistant, you want to expose for Microsoft Teams, you can just configure a channel for that. And then if you wanted to add Slack to it, you have some Slack users, just simply configure Slack to access digital assistant. Right. The second component is what we call dialogue flow execution. As you have seen in the demo earlier in absence management, right? There's generally a flow for end user to be able to follow to get to the information they needed or to be able to submit a absence request. That dialogue flow is executed by this dialogue flow engine. Essentially, at the core, it's a state engine. And so what does that exactly that means? You can think of a, just like in a normal course of conversation that we have, right? I will be really, really unhappy if I'm talking to someone and then that person never remembers what I said previously, right? So the state engine basically does that. It basically just remembers what you have said previously, and then on the next point in the conversation, use that as a context to ask the next question. So that's basically a high-level dialogue flow engine does. The third part is enterprise data integration, and this is the component that connects to the backend application systems, makes the API calls that provides the data to the digital assistant, as well as allow digital assistant to execute transaction in the backend. Of course, with the PeopleSoft, with the integration framework, that piece is built for you, so you don't have to do that the integration yourselves. However, if you have other third-party applications, you can also build these integration and develop those integrations yourself and allow digital assistant to connect to these backend. However, Oracle pretty much is delivering these pre-built integrations across our on-prem applications, PeopleSoft, in addition to PeopleSoft, JD Edwards, cloud applications, all have out-of-the-box enterprise data integration to the Oracle backend. The fourth part is what we'll call conversational AI engine, and this is the engine that really tries to understand what human is saying, and basically based on that, interpret and make a best guess at what you're asking. All right. So it is an engine that human would train to understand specific functionality. So, for example, if someone wants to ask about absence management, basically be able to add a vacation request or look up vacation request. These are different operations that needs to be understood by a digital assistant. It wouldn't be able to understand just by itself. The conversational AI engine basically takes care of understanding what user is wants to do or intends to do, and that process is actually done training the digital assistant, and that's done by the typically by business analysts. It doesn't really take a great deal of technology expertise to train the digital assistant. Just provide some examples how user may be asking the question. Then the conversational AI engine makes, based on those training data, makes the best guess at what the user is actually saying. And of course, with the PeopleSoft out-of-the-box skills like absence management and so forth, all the training data are pre-delivered into the conversational AI engine.
Yeah,
Okay.
and Joe, I would add that our customers ask, how come we aren't just in the PeopleSoft environment building out the ODA or chatbot functionality so that an integration is not needed? And you can see just from this slide alone, all of this stuff, is outside of our expertise on the PeopleSoft application side. This is something it's a dedicated application that you're running, Joe, and has all of these capabilities that is needed and will continue to grow and adapt to the times, right? So it's great to be able to leverage a technology like this that Oracle has for our PeopleSoft customers.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you, Robin. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And the next I wanted to talk about is, we previously talked about the concept of a skill, right? And then you have digital assistant that's composed of different skills. And how does all actually work? And how does digital assistant provide a single interface into these different skills? Is through what we'll call skill routing. And basically, this is basically how it works, right? So a user can say, oh, I want to order a new laptop. Okay, digital assistant knows, okay, you're asking about a procurement operation. So it will route the request to a procurement skill, or chatbot. Then next minute, let's say, oh, I remember I want to ask about when what day do I start my new job, and that will route, and digital system would take care of routing the user and routing the conversation to the job offer skill, right? So what, and this is a really differentiator for between digital assistant and a lot of the other conversational platform is basically, one of the key characteristics of human conversation is sometimes in the middle of a conversation I may change topic, right? I just remember something. I need to ask about a different topic, and in order to buy a laptop, I need to know when I start, right? It's a different conversation flow, and what digital assistant allows you to do is basically switch seamlessly between these different skills or chatbot with a single user interface, and essentially, and the technical term is called non sequitur, and we all have tendency to be non sequitur sometimes, and and digital system is provide that technology to route between different skills, so you can support these non sequitur type of conversations. All right, next please. All right, and another characteristic for Oracle Digital System Platform is that it's able to handle a variety of conversations. So you may need to perform a transaction, basically report a absence, right, for example. Also, the digital system provides a capability to very easily add FAQs. We all have a ton of HR, HCM policies to deal with, and in digital system, it literally takes minutes to import these FAQs into digital assistant, and then a user can start asking right away, oh, what is the policy for absence management, right? It's available there. It's also able to integrate with help desk live agent systems, such as Oracle Service Cloud, such as maybe you have Salesforce, maybe you have right now live agent. Digital assistant can hand off a conversation. So essentially, you can think of digital assistant as the first line defense in front of these HR reps or live agent to divert a lot of the questions, and then route the question to live agent as needed. So it could help really to save a lot of cost in terms of and provide better customer service. You can also work with Oracle Policy Automation, which is it actually is now it's called Intelligent Advisor, which is basically an engine that executes a fairly complex business rules that can allow you to, for example, determine eligibility for welfare and so forth. It's a very popular mechanism to do that. Digital assistant can sit in front of that and allow user to seamlessly access that engine. Then last but not the least, digital assistant can also initiate a conversation with the end user by pushing a SMS message or pushing a notification through Microsoft Teams or Slack to start a conversation, and the user can take over from there. For example, there's approval that needs to be done. Digital assistant can push that notification to end users. Okay, next please. All right, and another key feature for digital assistant is the ability to see how the digital assistant and chatbot is doing in understanding what user is saying, right? And this is a critical part of the digital assistant. I mean, there's really no black magic here, right? For digital assistant to really understand what user is saying, the digital assistant needs to be trained. Well, and just like you're training just like a teacher teaching a student, right? There's points in the way you need to be able to test students to know how the student is doing. So you need to be able to monitor their progress if they're able to answer, they understand things correctly. That's what basically Digital Assistant Insight does. It shows you capture all the conversations and shows you which conversation worked, which didn't work, what are the conversation states, and what are the top intent, what are the conversations that are abandoned, and what are the top channels, and so forth. And then allows you to drill into these, for example, abandoned conversations, and then see what exactly did user ask. So you can use that next time to retrain your digital assistant or chatbot to be able to understand these additional ways that user may be asking the question. Next, please. All right, and this is just some screenshots of how the digital assistant insight shows you where the conversation path, what are the, once you click on the conversation path, you can look at the details of how long it took, how many steps, and be able to also look at all of the transcripts to see what how the user is doing. So administrator can very quickly look at the potential errors and to troubleshoot where the issues are, and then improve the digital system by providing more additional
examples,
for example. Next, please.
Yeah, and Joe, I would just add here is that
Sure.
one of the issues that customers come up with or have questions about is, how accurate is the chatbot? I want my users to be able to get their questions answered. I don't want them to have to figure out the language of the chatbot. For example, we have our own acronyms, we have our own way of saying things. I want to make sure that the chatbot adapts to us and not us adapting to the chatbot. And I think by this training and this module in particular, that allows our customers to do that. That's what you're saying, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great monitoring tool to see how user is using, and also see exactly what how user wants to ask and wants to raise a question, and then administrator can easily add these different ways of how user is actually interacting with digital assistant and chatbot.
Yep.
Great. All right, and another feature for digital assistant, and this is the great thing with the out-of-the-box deliver skills for from PeopleSoft, or any out-of-the-box skills that Oracle delivers, is that these skills can be extended, right? And meaning that, for example, if you got the PeopleSoft absence management skill, maybe you have a new type of a unique type of absence type, for example, and maybe you have type for I feel like taking today off. Okay, so the digital assistant can be extended to understand these additional what user wants to do, modify the functionality of skills, which is what we call intent. You can also add and modify how user may say and ask a question, which is what the technical terms is for utterances. You can also add or modify these keywords that can be extracted from a user sentence. And actually these keywords, the technical term for that entity. So you can add and modify all of these things. You can modify the dialogue flow or the conversation. You can also add what we call resource bundle. Basically, these are the output text corresponding to different languages. You can add these different translatable languages and so forth. So, so these are all supported through what we call an extensibility tool from Digital Assistant. Okay, so what's interesting, what's important about these extensibility skills is actually allows these skills shipped by PeopleSoft to be upgrade safe, meaning that whatever changes that you make using the extensibility tool is tracked by extensibility tool. So when you have a new version of the PeopleSoft skill coming from PeopleSoft, you can just simply pull from the skill store, and then you can merge the customization into the new version. And you can you can look at what the differences are and resolve potential conflict. So it really makes the skill safe, upgrade safe, right? Imagine, typically if you, a lot of times people say, well, if you change it, you break it, you own it. It's not the case with skills extension. You can do whatever you need to do through skills extension tool, and you can still merge these changes back in because we track all these different changes. All right, next please. Okay, I think this is my last slide. And yeah, so just talked about, and the customer can pick and merge the customization to upgrade the version of the skill, and any conflict can be easily resolved with the extensibility tool. So it really makes the skills upgrade safe and worth the long-term investment. So you can feel safe to update extend the skills to the way that your organization operates and still be able to enjoy the new updates and enhancements from PeopleSoft. Okay.
Excellent.
That's my live site. Yep.
Thank you. Thank you, Joe. That was great. I wanted to spend a little time and bring Dave back into the conversation to talk about how do you get started? Because we mentioned the application side, we mentioned the skill, and we even mentioned the skill store, which may be a new concept to some people. So Dave, can you walk us through kind of the process that we expect customers to take if they're interested in deploying chatbots with PeopleSoft?
Yeah, so I think it's really important for people to understand if you've been looking and paying attention to what we've been doing and what I've been talking about over the past several months, we are kind of putting the brakes on it and shifting a little bit. And that is to, instead of delivering the PeopleSoft chatbots or skills, instead of delivering them in the PUM images as files, we're now using the skills store. And there's some real benefits of putting things in the skills store. Joe just talked about the extensibility tools and the fact that now by putting them in the skills store, instead of delivering them as files and having the customers deploy these files and manage the changes by hand, you can now use this extensibility toolkit to change the entities, the intents, the utterances, and so forth, and skills. And it's the life cycle is just completely different. It's completely better. So it's a much better environment for us to be working with. Why don't you go to the next slide, and I'll talk about what that entails. So the biggest deal is that well, the platform, again, the platform is a platform as a service that's required as a license. The skills now are going to be in the skills store, and these two will be purchased together, or they'll be licensed together. What this means, though, is that any customer who is running PeopleSoft will have full access to the Oracle Digital Assistant and can use the Oracle Digital Assistant for anything they want. We all know that all of our customers enhance the PeopleSoft or customize the PeopleSoft application, so you can get those customizations into your skills using the extensibility toolkit. We also know that you may want to access additional systems, so you may want to pull in information from another system into your PeopleSoft chatbots. You are fully licensed to do that. And you can also deploy additional or custom chatbots out to the same community that you're using with PeopleSoft skills. So why don't you go to the next slide. So basically the steps are, there's three steps here. The first is to license the ODA platform, right? And the ODA platform is the chatbots. The second is to license either the HCM and or the ERP skills from PeopleSoft, and that gives you, or from Oracle, and that gives you access to, if you license the HCM, you have access to all of the skills within HCM. If you license the ERP, you have access to all the skills within the PeopleSoft ERP. And then the third set, of course, is to configure the two environments. So there is this step between getting the ODA deployed for you, configuring it to your PeopleSoft application, and we mentioned before that can be an on-premises application, and then hooking the skills up and choosing the skills that you want. So if you want the absence skill, but you don't want the directory skill, you can just pull the absence skill into your ODA environment, configure that, and be running with that. So let's go to the next one. Can't hear you, Robin.
Oh, sorry, I was on mute. Just to reiterate a nuanced point, if you would. Anytime we talk to customers, sometimes we get the question of, so it sounds like ODA is a cloud application, which it is, and I have to license it as such, but I'm running PeopleSoft on-prem. Does that matter?
And the answer is it doesn't matter. You can connect to it, and you're connecting to it through channels, right? And Joe mentioned these different channels that ODA has. The ones that we support are the web channel, which is the you saw the demo that we had earlier. That was the web channel, and we're working to support a texting channel, so you'll be able to just text from a messaging app. You'll be able to text directly into the to the back end. So we use the communication facilities through these channels to get back and forth between our on-premises application and ODA. Right.
Thanks, Dave.
Mm-hmm. And then finally, yeah, we talked about the license that are required. So the basic fees for these are on the ODA side. If you're expensing this or you're paying for this by employee, starts at about $2 a month. If you're licensing per named user, which is a subset of users within your employee base. So the per employee is basically the number of employees that's managed by your PeopleSoft application. If you're licensing it for a subset of those, then it's on a per named user base. So it's about 3 times more expensive. So that subset would have to be about a third. And then as far as access to the skills and the skills store, the HCM skills and the ERP skills are basically set at the same price. There's $3 per employee or $3 per named user per month. So just the requirement is that the skills from PeopleSoft are licensed, and there is a license covering any user on the ODA side.
Yep.
Okay.
Thanks, Dave. That was great. Okay, so we are getting some questions in the chat, and for those of you who've asked the question there, I'm going to get to it in just a minute. We will go over just a few minutes. Hope that's okay with everyone. Hope that's okay with you, Taryn. But at the end, we'll pull up those questions. So if you have any questions, go ahead and put yours in the chat. The other part of getting started is that, this is a lot of information to give you all in one webinar, hard to take it all in, and usually customers have to socialize this stuff with other folks within their organization to see if this is something that they can do. We do have a number of things available that you can follow up with to learn more about the architecture. Recordings of these webinars are also good places to go back to. We have a red paper that talks about the integration framework that Dave covered earlier today. We have video feature overviews that are posted on the YouTube channel. So you can get access to all of that on peoplesoftinfo.com. I would start there and find the one piece of that out there that really resonates with you and share that with your team, and then see if you have any questions. You can always follow back up with me and we can get your questions answered. We also have 2 chatbot focus groups running. Samita, who did the demo earlier, runs both of them. One is exclusively for partners, PeopleSoft partners. We do have a number of consultants and partners that are implementing chatbots for customers. And then we have a chatbot focus group just for customers, and that's the first one listed there. So if you're interested in either one, depending upon your role, please reach out to Samita. Her email is right there. I get questions about the roadmap a lot. As we showed you those first 2 chatbot skills that are available, those are in green, but we don't plan to stop there. What's really exciting, if you recall Joe's slide where he talked about the different ways you can use chatbot. Like, it's not just a transactional system, which we used for absence, right? Where you could put in a transaction or a request for take time off. It supports FAQs, and you can, particularly in recruiting and in help desk, we have a lot of things that we can do and share with with employees in FAQs, right? We all have FAQs for certain policies. Be able to provide that information through a chatbot to employees would save a lot of time and help them not have to navigate the system to find them. The live agent handoff happens as well, especially if they can't find exactly what they're looking for. You don't want them to go away frustrated. You want them to get their question answered, especially if it's a priority or urgent issue. Being able to transfer them to a help desk agent is quite exciting. The walkthrough of complex policies, we all in HR have complex policies, right? And from the employee perspective, they need to understand what applies to me, right? So I just had a situation where I need to take leave. We have all these different ways to take leave. which one applies to my circumstance. So to be able to walk them through yes or no answers, or even a little bit more complex than that, to figure out what they should do next is a really big win. And then the alerts, you saw the alerts, that would be another big win. So not all of these bots that we're planning on doing in our roadmap are going to be the same. It just depends on the nature of the action and the nature of the product area. We mentioned the coordination. Joe mentioned the coordination of all these chatbots. Right now, as you look at the ones that we've delivered, they're individual ones, right? You have to click on the Employee Directory Assistant tile to get the Employee Directory Assistant chatbot or skill. You have to click on Absence Management, Absence Assistant to get the Absence Assistant. But if you go non sequitur, like Joe said, and you're in one of these, it's not going to know what to do with it. But moving forward, our vision is to leverage that coordination within Digital Assistant so that no matter where you are in the system, let's say you're on a home page, you'll see the little icon in the bottom right-hand corner. You can pop that up to initiate the chatbot and not have to click on a tile. And once you've done that, you can ask whatever question you want, and it will route that question to the right skill, even though you may not have been talking about that skill at that time. So that's the vision that's coming forward. In the meantime, we have them individual, but eventually we want to coordinate them and have them connected together. Okay. So with that, I do want to, I know we're at the bottom of the hour, but I did get a couple questions in here. I would, Dave and Joe and Samita, hopefully you guys are still on. I'm going to throw the questions out there, and if anybody wants to answer, we can do that. So one question is, I have a question on push alerts. My assumption is that alert only works if the user is logged on to PeopleSoft. If not, can the interface send an SMS text since I am not logged in? Maybe I'll see if Samita, if you want to answer that, and if everybody else wants to jump in, that's fine too.
Okay, so alerts, like as in if the expectation is that the bot pops up on your mobile, or when you are in a PeopleSoft application and tells you, hey, you know what, this is something is pending, or you need to finish some task by end of day today. That is not supported from ODA at this point of time. However, the other part of it, like if I submit an absence request and if that in turn needs to trigger an SMS alert, that needs to be routed through PeopleSoft, the people code and whatever happens in PeopleSoft today, the notifications, they are taken care of. Does that answer the question?
So let me also add to that. So from a platform side, right? So there's an API that can be called to trigger what we call bot-initiated conversation, and that works through the SMS channel, the Microsoft Team channel, and Slack channel. Now, you still need to have something to call that API. So it could be a workflow engine or something. And that doesn't really require you to really log into anything. You can almost think of it as, you have this MS Team client on your device, and just pops up a notification to say, hey, you have something that needs to get started. And then from that point on, you probably still have to log into PeopleSoft to continue the conversation. So that's from a platform side. That's how that type of interaction will work.
Okay, thanks for that. There was a question about what the cost structure was for chatbots, but I think that question was asked right before you went into the slide on the cost structure, Dave. So we'll pass on that one since we covered that. And then somebody was asking, Colleen was asking about the email address. I'm assuming you wanted Samita's email address for accessing the focus group. I also put my email in there too in case you needed a question about something else. Those are the three questions I have on there. If anybody else has any other questions, please use the chat and we can try to answer it with the 1 or 2 minutes we have left.
Okay, while we wait for those questions to come in, do you guys have any more closing thoughts or anything? And thanks again so much for everyone coming and speaking with everyone today.
I'll start with one, and then Joe, Dave, Samita, whatever you guys would like to chime in to give your perspective. From my perspective, Chatbot is a really big part of our strategic initiatives. We have 3 high-level strategic initiatives, and Chatbots is one of them. So we're looking at delivering and rolling out more of these. We feel like this is one of those, I wouldn't call them future, I would call them important ways of interacting with the system that we know that people come to expect, and it's really a game changer when you're looking at employee engagement and attracting top talent. I mean, how great would it be the first day you come in as a new employee, you have a chatbot to do your onboarding activities, right? I mean, that just gets you really invigorated and makes you feel like you picked the right place to work. It feels like even the HR team is forward thinking. And it's just something that people have come to expect as a type of technology that they would interact with. So we are super excited about it on the HCM side and on our application side, and invested a lot of time, as you can see, not just in tools, but in the applications. And we really love the fact that there's a dedicated team within Oracle to build out ODA and all the technical capabilities that we need to make it work well. So that's my parting thought for everybody.
Okay.
Dave?
And I don't, oh, go ahead.
I was just going to see Dave or Joe. Do you guys have anything?
Yeah. I'll give you a parting thought, and that is that me personally, since I've been working on these chatbots, since we've started using them, or we've started putting them into our application, I've kind of made a mental note to start using them in other applications that I'm interfacing with, and I just have noticed what a much nicer interface they are than hunting and pecking around to try to find what you want to do. You could just go over to the chatbot and you could just have the conversation. So they're taking the UI and flipping it over, and instead of the UI being there and making the user try to find something, the user just gets to sit down and drive the interface, and it's just a nicer way. It's a nicer interaction with the system. And I know that we have a lot to do, right? We have a big roadmap, but I think that it's really going to be very beneficial to our users.
Well said, Dave. Joe, anything from you?
All right. Yeah, for the only thing is, yeah, we have actually more sessions coming up in Collaborate. In the Quest Forum digital event. Get used to the name. My apologies. So there's some coming up on Friday. This coming Friday. One is across. It's called Oracle Speaks. About our across-the-board effort on digital system within Oracle. We also have a session on digital system best practices, and then next week we have a hands-on lab planned as well as a virtual customer summit. So encourage you to look for digital assistant in the upcoming sessions, and we would love to see you in these sessions and maybe get a little hands-on with digital system as well.
Yeah, those hands-on labs are great. I've heard some really good things about them. Samita, anything from you?
Robin, I think it's all covered. So for any questions, they can always shoot me a mail and they can be a part of the focus group. So the more they participate, the more customers ask us questions, the more we understand, how much in sync we are really with what we are developing. So we are new in the area too. We are also trying to, kind of get in there. We are almost pioneers in the ERP market when it comes to designing and implementing chatbots. So it's a new arena for all of us. And I think we all learn together. And I need more of, customer interaction and participation for that purpose. So feel free to shoot a mail out to me, join the focus group, and I think we all get there together. Thanks.
Yeah. Thanks, Samita. Taryn, any other questions come through?
I do not see any other questions, but again, if you guys do have questions after the webinar, please feel free to reach out to me or any of the people on the panel, and we will be sure to answer those. So thanks again, everyone, for attending today, and thanks everyone for speaking.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Bye.